Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I'm your host, Lonnie Jones, and the adventure part is basically just our experiences. And some of those experiences are as mundane as growing up, being married, being a young married couple with a kid, or being a middle-aged couple with grandkids. Some of the experiences will be my adventures as an outdoorsman, a rock climber, a fisherman, a hunter, or my experiences as a police chaplain who's been assigned to a SWAT team for over 30 years. Some of that adventure may even boil down to the idea that there's a belief that I'm a chaotic Jedi. And either way, we'll take the experiences or the adventures and we'll talk about the facts. The facts will lead to concepts, and the concepts lead to application. Basically, it will be anecdotal wisdom. One cautionary word about the facts is we will tell you the facts just as they happened, but sometimes we'll tell you the facts the way we remember them happening, and sometimes we'll tell you the facts the way we've heard other people tell us the way they remember them happening. In any occasion, it's not an attempt to deceive. There'll be a little bit of embellishment, and it's an all good, clean fun and for learning purposes only. Thank you for keeping up with Jones. Introducing the Bible degree with digital ministry. Paul used the marketplace and the synagogue to reach an expanded audience. We have access to the internet and social media. I once heard it said that when McDonald's introduced the drive-through window, they did not change the Big Mac, only how it was delivered. Faulkner University is now offering a new digital ministry track for their Bible degree. Faulkner's degree provides training in understanding and teaching the gospel, alongside training that will allow students to create quality digital content. Opportunities for evangelism in the digital spaces is unlimited, and this is innovative ministry education for our contemporary culture. One of the instructors is a two-time Emmy-winning former ESPN designer. Members of the Church of Christ could be eligible for the full tuition Jack Zorn Scholarship in order to pursue this special area of study. For more information, contact admissions at faulkner.edu. That is admissions at faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a digital partner with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I had a grip on the monster, and it was trying to get away. The skin of the monster was slightly textured, but the rest of it was smooth. It felt cold to the touch, and I had it pinned to my chest with my left forearm, and it was beginning to slip. A combination of my smooth shirt and its slick skin. I had my Dan Wesson in my .45. It was in my right hand, but it was still in the Milt Sparks leather holster. It wasn't attached to my belt. I was just carrying it, and I couldn't unholster it. And I knew I'd lost my grip before the monster slipped out, hit the ground, and tumbled across the floor. The monster hit the ground along with 2 Gatorade Zeros. I try not to curse. I do not swear. And I do not blaspheme, at least not in the biblical sense where one misuses the reverent name of God. But now outside the religious sense, to blaspheme simply means to speak evil. And I do not often speak evil, but I shouted some things rooted in my frustration. And if not technically evil, the words were at least unkind. And they were aimed at no one in particular but myself and the situation. As the Monster energy drink and the 2 Gatorades bounced on the garage floor, I said unkind things. Not at anyone or to anyone, just unkind things because I was frustrated. I felt dumb. I was trying to get out the door. I was going to meet the SWAT team at the range, and we were going to shoot. And I was trying to carry 3 drinks, 2 Gatorades and a Monster, 250 rounds of .45 ammo, and my pistol. And I was trying to get out the garage door and into the tactical Toyota. The Monster energy drink was my breakfast. The Gatorades were for later. And the pistol, the Dan Wesson, is my carry gun, and I don't carry a gun all the time, but I'm not issued a gun by the police department. I'm just a chaplain after all. But since I choose to shoot my 45 instead of a 9mm, I also have to supply my own ammo. Now, if I shot a 9mm, I could use department ammo when I shot at the range with the team. But since I don't own a 9 and I don't carry one, when I carry, I want to be proficient as I can with the gun I am statistically more likely to use if the insane, rare dogs and cats living together scenario ever occurs, requiring that I ever have to use a firearm for anything other than hunting and target practice. So I take my own personal pistol to the range. I was leaving the house, and being a male, I tried to get to the truck in one trip. All males do this. We hate to make multiple trips. I do this when I check into hotels, carry all my luggage, my briefcase, my podcast stuff, my hanging clothes, one trip. Heaven forbid I should ride an elevator more than once to get to my room. I unload groceries in the same way. One trip and one trip only. I hang all the Walmart bags on my arms and on my shoulders like a Colombian coffee mule that would make Juan Valdez tear up. And I have just dropped my drinks. I stood there in the garage holding my pistol and the Osprey backpack the team had given me for Christmas 2 years ago. Yeah, you heard that right. I was holding a backpack. It held my ammo. Now, why didn't I just put the drinks in the backpack? Well, Google the word stupid. Maybe it's compartmentalization. Maybe it's about the male mindset. I don't know. I had not used this Osprey backpack prior to this. I have lots of backpacks. I have packs for multiple occasions. I have a bow fishing backpack. It stays packed and ready to go. If Pickle calls and says, hey, let's go bow fishing, I don't even have to think. I grab the black backpack and off I go. I have an Alice pack that carries my ghillie suit. It has the ghillie suit. It has my sniper's veil. It has a bow hanger. If I'm going to hunt and use my ghillie suit, I grab that pack and walk out the door. I have a separate backpack for rock climbing. It contains my belay device. It contains my harness. It contains my personal protection gear. It contains the rope, and sometimes it has the chocks and batons and cams. And if I decide I'm going to go climbing, I don't have to think. I just grab that backpack and go. I use a tethered, that's a company name. I use a tethered fast pack for saddle hunting. I have several gun bags, but I had never used the new Osprey backpack for anything, and I decided, hey, today I'll use the new backpack, and it's 2 years old. I've never used it. I'll use the new backpack to carry my ammo on the range. I had the bag over my forearm. No, I wasn't wearing it. It was just hanging by one strap on my left forearm, and I had stopped at the garage fridge and got the Monster and the Gatorades out. I'd stuffed them under my arms and between my chest and my forearm, and I did all this while holding a perfectly good backpack. A backpack with enough room to hold the ammo, the drinks, the gun, my workout clothes, a lunch, and my running shoes. But I didn't use it. In my clouded little mind, I had it all worked out. The gun will go into the glove box. The Monster will go into the console cup holder. The Gatorade will sit on the front seat. And the backpack with the ammo goes onto the range only after I put my pistol in my custom drop leg holster designed by Kydex Evolution and a guy named Anthony Mock. So I attempted to carry them all to the car, and separated by use and or destination, when I should have just put them all in the available backpack. So now I'm standing there in my garage watching cans roll around and thinking whether or not I can hit a rolling Gatorade bottle with a red dot sight mounted on a Dan Wesson pistol. A problem can be defined as a lack of resources. A dysfunction is defined as a misuse of resources, or maybe even a failure to use a resource. And I guess unused is technically a misuse. If you've got it and you don't use it, that's nobody's fault but yours. Now, I really thought I could make it to the truck without stuffing everything into the backpack. Check that. I didn't think about it at all. I just tried to do it that way. Had I thought about it, I would have come to the conclusion that it would have been far faster, and if not faster, at least more efficient, to stop, put everything down, and organize it in the pack. The ammo was already there. Place the drinks in there. Place the pistol in there. Zip it up. Carry it to the car. And then once I got to the range, it would already be organized in a fashion, and I could distribute it and fix it like I wanted to. Well, as it was, I just walked out of the house with the gun, with the ammo in the backpack on my arm, and I just grabbed stuff from the fridge and stuffed it under my arm and tried to move on. And by the time I found the rolling bottles, put the stuff down, picked them up, and had to defuse the monster drink like a bomb technician, I could have loaded the backpack, been in the truck, and headed down the road. But no. I had this idea of how it was better, it was more efficient, it was less complicated to do it my way. It was going to be less of a hassle to do it my way. And I was wrong. I was severely wrong. And it's almost embarrassing to admit I even did this. But that's what I did. I had a perfectly good backpack and somehow had narrowed my thinking that the only thing I could carry in the backpack was the .45 ammunition, and everything else had to go to the truck the way I had envisioned it going to the truck. Well, none of it would have made it to the truck under that scenario. We all have resources, and we all have resources all around us, and somehow we narrow our thinking and we don't use them, or we don't use them to their potential. We get caught up in that loop. I can't tell my friends. I can't tell my family about this thing I'm trying to manage. I can't tell my parents about this problem. I can't use my minister, my elders, my friends to help me carry this thing. My spouse won't understand. My parents will overreact. The church will judge. If the backpack will carry boxes, it will carry bottles. If it can carry bottles, it can carry cans. If it can carry boxes, bottles, cans, bullets, and energy drinks, then this can also carry the pistol. A backpack carries stuff, and it doesn't care what stuff it is as long as the stuff will fit inside the bag. You may remember an idea that I stole from Matt Evans about problem solving. And Matt Evans talks about, when you start talking about problems, it's really not about the what. It's simply about the how. The big deal is really not what the problem is, but how we choose to approach the problem. In the example that I stole from Matt Evans, he actually used a backpack. He said, suppose I gave you a 50-pound dumbbell and said you had to carry it all day. Now, carrying a 50-pound dumbbell would create quite a challenge for you. It would be a challenge if you were trying to carry it while you were driving, while you were eating, while you were answering your cell phone. But if I gave you the same dumbbell and said, oh, and by the way, in order to navigate your day with this dumbbell, you also get a backpack. Well, the thing that just became unmanageable just became manageable. Now, maybe it's still a little bit inconvenient, but it's definitely manageable. You put the dumbbell in the backpack, and the fact that it's 50 pounds doesn't change. The fact that it's metal doesn't change. The fact that it's even heavy doesn't change. You didn't change the what. You just changed the how you approach dealing with the problem. The only thing we changed was the resource that we use to manage the problem. And it's not always that we don't have resources. It's not always that we even misuse them. I think sometimes the problem is we don't use them at all. We put limits on how they can be used. or what they can be used for. Well, I'd never ask my friends well, what are friends for? Friends help. And they don't care what the help is as long as the burden fits in their skill set backpack. This last deer season, I had a dozen people tell me all I had to do was call them and they would drag a deer out of the woods for me. And I called no one. Now, Isaac and Taylor Holzenbeck actually helped me get a deer out of the woods, but we were already in the woods together. We were hunting. They didn't have to make a special trip. But I wouldn't call anybody to make a special trip. I made excuses about why I didn't need to call them, shouldn't call them, or imagined how inconvenient it would be for them if I called them. And in the end, I didn't call anyone. I did let a pretty good buck walk on Kill Mountain because I was unwilling to make use of the available resources. I didn't want to call anybody. I didn't want to inconvenience anyone. I didn't want anybody to be troubled with something that I saw as so small and so trivial as my hobby. If my friends will help me with something that's large, my friends will help me with something that's small. As a friend, I will help you. And that's an open-ended invitation. I will help you is an open backpack. And we often leave it empty. An Osprey backpack carries ammunition. It carries climbing gear. It carries ropes, but it's not allowed to carry refreshments. It's a backpack, and its purpose is to carry or to help you carry things or make carrying things more manageable, and it doesn't care what it carries. It's designed to carry. Friends, chaplains, ministers, counselors, neighbors, spouses, families, they have many purposes, but one of those purposes is to help. They help us manage. They help us carry burdens. In some cases, they carry the burden for us. And in some cases, they carry us. And they don't care and they don't mind. That's why we are in each other's lives. And we do the same thing. And it's not just with people, it's with God. I can only use God to help me with my sin, my sickness, or my salvation. If God can carry and is willing to carry the burden of sin, even if you don't think it's heavy enough to require his attention, if God can carry the burden of sin, he can carry any burden. Even if we think in our minds this is an issue that is too trivial to get his attention, the simple fact that he cares enough to save us means he cares enough to aid us. Don't limit or compartmentalize God. Don't think God can't handle or is not interested in what you need carried. He knows what you're trying to carry, and he cares whether or not it is manageable for you, and he's available to help us with whatever that burden is. Remember, God wants it all. Don't make the mistake I made. I'm going to use this backpack for this, and I'll carry the rest. And don't be that person who says, I'll give this to God, but I'll carry the rest. Why not just rest in the fact that God can and will carry it all? You know, I hear people talk about having a God-sized hole in their lives. Well, you have this God-sized resource in your life. It is big enough to hold anything. It is big enough to hold everything. And he is strong enough to carry it all. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use two large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska, and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707, 615-371-8707, or you can go to 3Ws and a dot, worldchristian.org, find the Donate Here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.